CDC says masks outdoors not necessary, and yet the city of Hermosa Beach just reaffirmed fines for people who don't wear a mask. Yesterday, the governor seemed to promise no more masks on June 15th, except in large indoor settings like concerts. But what did he say today? Mask on, mask off. Is California any closer to the elimination of all mask mandates? The answer seemed clear when Tuesday he answered that exact question in an exclusive Fox 11 interview.
Are we looking at masks after June 15th?
No, only in those settings that are indoor, only in those massively large settings where people from around the world, not just around the country, are convening and where people are mixing in real dense spaces. Otherwise, we'll make guidance recommendations, but no mandates and no restrictions in businesses large and small.
But by Wednesday, the governor seemed less clear. Here he is at a news conference in Northern California, where he said he needed to clarify his previous answer.
We will be updating our mask guidelines. Outdoor masking, if we reach that threshold where we hope to be, will be substantially, in fact, will be eliminated, those mandates. There'll be guidelines and recommendations, but for indoor activities, we will still have likely some mask guidelines and mandates.
Not exactly what the public is craving. In Hermosa Beach, the city can, for now, still fine you if you're not wearing a mask, even outdoors.
Even though the rules are somewhat ambiguous, I'm not going to risk getting a ticket from somebody just because I decided I'm not going to wear my mask. So I think the rules need to be a lot more consistent.
This man says even if the governor clears the way to doff the mask,
I think as long as the vaccination get to the 60–75%, then I think it will be okay. But until then, I just be more cautious, just in case.
Another man looks forward to things returning to normal, but
I don't know if it'll ever be exactly that, but yeah, more normal.
Well, I asked a doctor what he would advise his patients if masks are no longer required. He told me that if one of his patients was immunocompromised or has a respiratory issue, that puts them at greater risk for harm or death from COVID. Dr. Parham Yashar would advise them to keep the mask. Alex, Christine?
All right, so Susan, we're all wanting to know about the rest of us, the advice.
You know how gray the governor was? That's how the doctor was with me. He goes, well, it's a risk benefits thing and depends on if we hit herd immunity, depends how the vaccination rate goes. Sounded like it was a bit of a personal decision, so be advised. If you're at risk, I think that is the greatest reason to keep the mask on.
And we should also point out some context on the idea of a mask mandate from the state. Like Texas got rid of its mask mandate, but individual businesses can still do their own. So say Disneyland wants to do a mask mandate at the park, they could do that. Dodger Stadium, if they want to do a mask mandate, they could do that. So even if the state says we're not requiring, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to be able to throw out the mask.
I was in Houston recently, and guess what? I walked into a restaurant. They said, put your mask on, put your mask on.
Right. Interesting.